So hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 134, and in this video we continue with our exercise. We finished our exercise 1, which was creating a login account, and now we are going to exercise 2, which says we received 2 data tables, which are this here, and we should just create arrays for these 2 data tables, which are 2-dimensional arrays. And that's it. That's actually what we should do. It's very simple, straightforward, and easy. But here, one note, you can see now this data tables here I provided here in this form. In future, we will learn that we can get informations from files, which means from the internet, from other places in a file format, and we will learn to read this kind of file. So that means this data table which you see right now here could be also in a file, and then we will learn how to read a file and, for example, this kind of stuff, and then use it automated to create an array from a file and so on. But that's the future. Right now, I give you just this data table and we create these arrays manually, which means we just create the arrays and assign these values in it. All right, let's do this. So for this kind of stuff, I jump here, but let's check where we stopped if our account works. That was the last thing what we did. Our account, is this working? Yes. Coder, and my password is A. Yes. And here I formatted a little bit. Account login accepted. All right. And here, while I checked my code a little bit, I saw one big issue. It's not a big issue, actually. It's a very little issue, but it was annoying. And what is the annoying thing is this variable name. Why is this variable name annoying when you read this one? It says found name password. The problem about this variable name is, means this name for the password or what it means, right? It's not clear. It's not absolute, clear. And to make it clear, I need that one word more. It's and, because this one says I found the name and the password, and here even username perhaps to make it even more clear. Because we are checking here for username and user password, you can see it would be even better to say here username and user password, so we have also connectivity to the other code, which means yes, it's related to this thing and this thing. But I skip this and I just add now this and hope that's enough for this case. Found name and password. So I say now I found both here, right? Let's see where I have more arrows here. Here's 1, here's 2. Was there not one more? All right, found name here is, why is this not? And password. Okay, now, and let's start this one fast again for check. And coder, A, all works. So, and now let's solve this task 2, which is just create 2-dimensional arrays for this one and this one. And I hope we know how to create 2-dimensional arrays. But before we create them, the question is where we create them, because that's all time an interesting question. And we can start, if we don't know at start where we should create them, in global variables, but later we can perhaps bring them to local space, depends on where we call it or where we need it. But right now I said I use the global variables and it's okay. All right, so the next question is, I found now the place where I want start at least with the global variables. Normally you start local, but in this case I start global. And then I say, what kind of variables I need. For example, I know it's an array, but what type of the array here? We have words. Okay, this one is probably a string. We learned already a string. That's done. Then here, the second array, we have numbers, but careful. We have different kind for types for numbers, right? We know int, we know float, we know double, and we know per. Probably you know per. Even more if you read in the in good books and so on online. But let's say which numbers we want. So you see here full numbers, and you'll be tempted to use, for example, int. But the problem is we are talking here about money. Money is not all time, for example, 1000. There could be a decimal point as well, which means 0.999 or something like that. And that's why we can't use int here. Okay, that's very good to know. So we have to use float or double perhaps. And the next question is, if you want to use, for example, float, then you have to put all time f behind this, and I'm skipping this. So I use just double. Then I don't need to write 1000.0f, because double is by default without any suffix. All right, this is clear. Now I create the array. First I start with the string, and yeah, let's create it. Here is my global variables. I go here and I want here first. And like I said, we change perhaps the place. So normally it's bad to put variables all time global, but sometimes this is okay. And yeah, let's go. So I call this std because it's a string. We know this string. And now a good naming, of course, for this variable. So that makes sense. User names array. I make it very simple. I call this user names array. User names array, and that's my name. And now I call, of course, I make an array, which is our array symbol, this one, but it's a two-dimensional, right? Okay, two-dimensional means we need two of this one. Good. And here we can decide how we go on. We can, for example, say I start with without initializing, or I initialize. In my case, I know what I need. I have the values here, and I want direct initialize it. So with in my case, I say I initialize it directly. I use the initializer. You know, this is an assignment operator, and then initialize a list. This is so the start point, which we will use in a moment. But before we can use, we have to give here numbers in how big the array should be. So in our case, let's see, we have here 3 on a row. So one dimension is 3. 1, 2, 3. This is one dimension. And down, when we go down, we have also 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3, 3. We start first with the first dimension. Here's 3. I write this. Let's copy this one here because it's annoying to scroll all time up and down. I need this one down. Let's copy this one here. Better this whole thing. Copy. And let's go to my array place. Here I'm going to create this. I can delete this later again. So it's convenient. It's more convenient to see this one and then work directly with this one. All right, now I have 3 on the row, and we start first with the elements from right to left. So this one, the right side, I start with 3. I say, okay, I have here 3, and then I say I go down, have also 3. All right, I go 3 here as well. And now I define the elements which I need. 3 on this, 3 down, and that makes 9. Careful, if we would make this one in a one-dimensional array, we would write here just one array with 9, which would work also. But because this is a two-dimensional array, we use here this structure with 2 dimensions. And yeah, that's that. And let's continue a little bit. And how we are initializing now the values. And like I said, in this example, we type in all values manually and in it. The problem is here, you must, how we write this, right? So how we write this, how we create this initializer list here. And I said you can all time start first with the row. When you start this is one way to start. You can start first with the row. You say, okay, this row is, you make here, and you make here this group, And this first group is the row. All right, and let's write here, for example, these are strings, so I have to write coder, and then I have to write Wonder Woman, woman here, and then I have to write Maggie. Oh, that's right. So, and yeah, and this is your first row. And now you say, okay, I have now done the first row. And what is the next row? How I can make the next row here? Okay, you say, yes, just make the next row. With other words, we can just make a comma and write the next row. And yeah, you go on. So then this one, and then you go for the next one as well, which means you would make something like this. You copy this one, and if you want to go, for example, if you want to look at like this one, you could also go here down and make something like that. Now I'm too lazy, and let's make you paste, and then you change here the names, right? Let's see if I can make this. All right. And now you will change here the names, but don't forget after every row a comma. Here not. Only between. That's very important. And now we have made this one, of course, change the names here as well. And this one is actually, is this right or wrong? The question. And the answer, and actually it is what? It is not really wrong, but it works. Let me see if this really works. Yeah, it's right, but the point is write just the names in it. And I think there are different ways to do this as well, because I use here the what is called the row measure example. And later, when we call this in a loop, we can go also first down and then to the next row. So with columns. Of course, you can create something like that too, but I think this one is very simple, right? Just write the row, and then you say I need 3 more rows of this one, and so on. And because I would not waste time now with typing in the names, and so I will skip this part because I already made this here. It took me already too much time, and that's why I use this one, not to waste your time. I make here a copy. I go here on top. I delete this, paste this, and comment, uncomment. And now you should have something like that. So the second one, I have not talked about the second one, but it's similar, right? After you have made the first one, you just can copy this one. And because this array is the same, the only different thing is here the type, because I said we use now type double. I have made it double. And with double, we don't need to write anything, just the numbers in. That's okay. And here I got user got money. Usernames array. Let's make here array. And here also change here something array, so that we know it's array. And yes, then we have this one, and we have here a little bit formatting problems again. Or whatever. It's okay. Oh no, why not? All right, you see, this is okay. So the same goes here, formatting. This had more formatting problems than any other problems. So with that said, I keep this. Even this one is not so okay. It's visible enough for me. Okay, with that said, why I have here bad formatting, I don't know. I thought I had this better, but it looks like not. Let's make it 1 second. I want this a little bit better because I watched this all time and now I'm still wasting time. All right, with that said, it's okay now. Good. So I hope you have made something similar like this one. And this is actually task 2 as far as I know. Yeah, I think that's already created an array. We should just create an array, right? No more, no less, which means this is very, very easy task 2, which means I can delete this one right now because I don't. I will need it in a moment. Let's make a copy and delete. Copy this one here, delete, and let's go to task 3. And this task 3 looks so simple, and actually this task 3 is more difficult than task 2, I think. This task 2 has so much description, was very easy actually. Okay, this formatting here takes a little bit time and writing in all the values, but this task 3 is actually the real difficult task if you try to make a formatting for outprint like this one. If you don't try formatting like this one, it's very easy, task 3. But if you try task 3 to make a printing format like this one, it should look like usernames and then this visuals here, this dash not dash, this thing here, this minus symbol here, and then so on. This will, yes, I think this is a challenge for its own, and you should try it. As a beginner, you should try to make a format. I tried and actually I give up, not because it's too difficult, because that takes too much time. But you as a beginner, you really should try it because it teaches you also many things while you are trying it. I tried a little bit. I give it not up from start. I made some formatting, but then I don't continue it, and I will make it here in task 2. So first of all, let's start and try task 2. We should just print out this dimensional arrays on screen. But before we can talk about formatting, we have to find a way to print out this dimensional arrays, right? Let's go and try to find a way. And the best way is when you read a task like this one here, because here it was creating an array that was a variable. But now we have a task which is an action, and when you read an action, you can put it in a function. And this is a good candidate for a function. So I create a function, and when I call this function, it will print out this multi-dimensional array. And I hope you know how to create functions, because we are going to create one. So first of all, where we start with our function. The first question. You can start where you think it is right. I start with the definition because the definition defines all, right? It's easy, and then I go here on top and assign other things if I need or if I don't need, something like that. All right, so I go to the definition. Definition is, let's annoying a little bit. It's here on the bottom on my side. So I go here on the bottom and I write a function definition. Here I can define the function which I need. And let's see if I have this one again. Yes, because I need this one here again. Because I want print out this one here in a moment. So I keep this one here as well. I delete this one later. And I say, okay, so now we have to think about a function who can print out our array, which we have. Actually, I have used this one, sorry, that was wrong, which means this one is not the right thing. I need this created arrays. This one here, copy this one here. Let's copy them here. Let's comment them out. Control-K, comment. And yes, now I need create a function for this arrays here because I want to print them out. So now we can think. First of all, do I need a return type for this function? The task says just I should print it out. So I don't need a return type. I say void. I don't need. Only print a return when you need. And later, if I really need one, I still can change this void, right? Very easy. Then the function name. I should find a good function name. In our case, print two-dimensional array, right? Something like that. I write here print out two-dimensional array. All right, this is enough for a variable name. It says me when I read this, I know what this function will do. It will print out a two-dimensional array. The next thing is parameters. We make the parameter list. So do we need parameters to print out, for example, this one here? Not really. When I write in it, I would not need any parameter, which means I could make this without parameters, but that is stupid. Why is that stupid when I make it without parameters? Or let's say not stupid. Let's say, why is that not clever? The reason for that is probably I will use this function to print out not only one time this array, probably more times, because when we read our task here, I say here print out this multiple arrays on screen. Here is one array, here's another array which I want print out, and perhaps later I want print out this one here, task 4, this updated version. And that would mean if I would now write here all time this print out here without all time here in this body, then I would create all time a new function more or less for every print out I want. And the reason why we make functions or use functions is to avoid all time duplicated actions. And this case is one of these duplicated actions, because I want print out a two-dimensional array, and if I find any two-dimensional array, I will just give them as a parameter here, and it should be printed out. So I have not all time write a new function for print out two-dimensional array. All right, I show you what I mean with that. It means I define now here parameters, which is I will give in an array with two-dimensional, and then I will use this two-dimensional array to print out its values. So how we make this, how we can do this. We define a two-dimensional array. How we define this? First of all, which array I want, because this array is not the same array like this one. We have here a string and here a double, which means we will have probably still two functions, but later more to this one. Let's create first one. I create the first for string. All right, I say, okay, std string. I want pass in a string array, and the string array name is the, in my case, for example, user names array, and I call this param. And then, very important, I need, of course, assign that this is also an array. For example, this is one possibility, but very easy. And I can even define which numbers I want. I want that you should be give me a free username array with type free dimensions. And I'm almost finished, not full finished. Let's create first the bodies here. We know this, I hope. And here I have now, I should think here a little bit. The point is, this one is what? This one is an array, almost. But the point is, when you hear arrays or something like that, and when you hear this in combination with functions, and then I told about functions something that many programmers don't want to use copies in parameters, right? They most time don't want to use copies. For example, for little numbers like int and string, normally it's not a problem. But when it starts with classes, later what we will learn, or with arrays, which can be really big. In our case, it's very small, but arrays can be here a number of 1,000 or 10,000, and the other is also 10,000. Then you don't want copy an array. So they will all time avoid arrays as a copy, and this what I'm doing here is actually a copy. I don't want a copy, right? We don't want. And what we learned to avoid a copy in functions with parameters, what was this again? We trained this. It was this ampersand. And this ampersand says this one is a reference. And now we have a problem. It says anyhow, there is an error. We can't use that. And why is that so? Because when you write an ampersand like the arrow, it says array of reference is not allowed, but we know how we make this real, right. The right way is we have to write this ampersand and a variable name in parentheses. Now it is right. So with which means now I can give an array here as a param, but I still have the problem with the copy, right? What is the problem with the copy here? I mean, I avoid now copying because now it's definitely reference, and reference means this will be not a copy. This will be definitely array reference. And then I said the problem with this references in parameters is this one has a backwards connection, a pointer to the caller, and many programmers don't want this. Only, but some are doing this intentionally. But normally you are interested just, you are doing this reference most time to avoid just a copy, which means you put in a ampersand, but you still want not that it's backwards changeable, so that the pointer can change the caller. And what we learned then, what is the next step? What you have to do to avoid this one, and you will see this in almost all, yes, in parameters with big values. It is the const. If you made this one, then that's the right thing. I hope you remember this one. Const can stay here, or const could stay here as well. This is the const rule, which means if it stays here or here, it's the same meaning. There was something, I write it here in front, but doesn't matter. You should know it can stay here or here. And then you need to read the const right, start from the const and read to the left. And if it's at the start, like here, only this is an exception. Start from const, read it to the right, and then go on. For example, here it's a const string, and then to an array, and then you read it normally here other way around. You start here with this parameter, as a variable name, username array param, and if you visit the website which I showed you how to read a little bit difficult arrays and something like that, then you know you would go now here this direction till you find this one, then you would go back till this ampersand, and then you find this one, then you would go to this part, and then you would go from this part back to this part. And I hope you know what I mean. That was in the last video. I think I showed you a website how you can read difficult parameters or any thing like that. All right, let's continue. We created just the function. We repeated here a little bit, and I hope you made something similar. If not, no problem. Perhaps then you made a little bit more. That's also good for beginners. A little bit more work is all time nice because you train more than me. That's nice. Let's continue. So this one is done, but yes. Okay, I know now I can call an array. I can pass in an array, and which array I want pass here in? Probably the one which I created. Later I will pass this one in because this is a string, but I can't pass this one in. We have to think about this one later, but a little bit more in a moment. Before we go on, or we can make it now. We can make it now because the body takes a little bit time. That's why let's think about it. Here I want now, oops, why I go here if I have it already here, sorry. So I want pass this one into this array, but I can't. Why I can't? Because here is a double and this one is asking for a string. But I can use here a very simple trick. What is this? Yes, the trick is not very simple. I mean, you just can copy this one, what you already have, paste it, and then you say, wait a minute, you are just creating another function. Yes, but what is this kind what I've created here? It's an overloaded function, which means I just change here the type, which is just, I write, instead of this string here, I just write here double. So now I can pass in this function a double, which is this one here. And the next thing which is strange is this one here, the same name. You don't have to use this. You can make here a unique name, but if you don't make, then it's called this overloaded function, which means the compiler will check the parameters which is passed in. For example, if you pass this array in, then it will check, okay, this is string, and then it checks one of them here, asking this function here, have you a string? Oh, you have a string, I use you. And then if you want pass in this one, then a double, then it will ask the compiler again, this function here, have you a double? Oh no, you have not a double. Then it goes to the next name with the same name here. Have you a double? Oh yes, you have a double, and it will pass in. So we solved this one here just by overloading, but you can also make here a unique name if you don't like this overloading system. I said try to make unique names, but you will not all time be able to create unique names. And if they are similar, for example, these two things are doing absolutely the same thing, right? They print out two-dimensional arrays. The only difference is here really the type. They are here they are printing a string, and here they are using a double. And if you have, for example, more, let's say for ints, then you would just copy this one and use here a int. And this overloaded functions, the compiler will find then the right for you. And important is, the parameters must be different. So the names can be same, but the parameters must be different, and important the type here. No. So I hope you know this. If not, no problem. That's why we do this. We repeat, and we get better. So that was how we call the function, but the most important part we have not done, which is how we how we loop there through. And I already said it, when you see an array, all time think about a loop, because this array what I have here is very small, but in real, when you work later with arrays, they will be not so small, and you want not go here with one by one through, and the best way is a loop. And the question is now, which loop? We have learned different kind of loops. We have learned for loops, while loops, do while loops. And yeah, which loop we should choose? And I would say a for loop is all time good. Of course, the other one works too, but a little bit more work. So this for loop is here very nice. The next question, how I can use a for loop here in a good way. So I think I made there already an example with a for loop. And you will just call a for loop. For example, you start here with 4. Then we say here int start point I0, for example, semicolon, and then you go here for that's very important. This is the start point, right? But what is the end point here? Normally you would say, if it's a one-dimensional array, you would just count all the elements in and say, okay, elements, I count all the elements, and I know, and then because I start from 0, okay, all elements minus 1 is my endpoint, you would normally say. But careful, we are here in a multidimensional array, which means one for loop will be used for one dimension, which is here. This array here has, for example, only 3 elements, which means the first for loop will go just for the 3 elements here. All right, that means my endpoint is I less than 3, right? Because I start with 0, then I would get 0, 1, 2, and it must be less 3. As long as it's less 3, it should loop, right? Good. And then I would say increment this one, and then I would open the body. And then the next question is now, that was my first loop for the rows. Now I need another loop for the other three, right? And oh, I explained it wrong. Normally the rows are the inner ones, the loop which is in. So with other words, if I make it right, then I have to write now a loop for this one here. Because if you start here on the right side, this is the last loop which you use, which is the nested one. And if you go now to this one here, it's the auto loop, which means I have to write here a for loop. Okay, use this one there, but okay. And then you write here int again a value, but careful, not I the same like the other one, must be different. It's now k is my start value, 0, and k less the same, because this one is 3, here is also 3. Okay, less than 3. All right, and then plus k. And now I open here the body. That was not good presentation, but I hope you get it what I mean in a moment. So the mistake what I made is, not really mistake, just the order which I made is, you start normally the last one here is our row, in my case, and the row should be the last one in my case here, the last call for the for loop, because the first loop jumps to the column which is downwards, and it says here 0. Okay, it starts here with 0, it stops there till the row is finished, and this is the next loop, in my case this one here, till this row is finished it stays on 0, and then it jumps to the next column which is 1, and then it waits till the row is finished, which means it goes through. After it's finished, then it goes back to the auto loop and says 3, and then after 3 it waits again till the row is finished. Yes, so this was that what we have there, and this is the way to work. So anyhow, and then we are almost finished. I hope you have something similar like that. And now how we can print this out, for example, std cout, and I have to call. Important is of course how I call this, right? I have now set up here this rows and this columns, and this rows and columns are interpreted with the slots name here from the loop variables here. I have to use them there, but how I call this, for example, I want to print out this one, user names array. Okay, I copy this one here, copy this one here, paste this one in, and then instead of these numbers here which I had, I write, for example, what? First of all, I write like again, this one is row, right? This one here, this 3, which means I. Here is I write here I, and this one here is my column in my example, which means is k, right? This one is made for k, so I write here k. And when I have not made it wrong, this should work a little bit, but let's make here one more thing, which is just a new line, so it's not all time there. And when I print this out, let's see if I made again a little mistake. Would happen all time. So there is no output. Okay, one mistake I made. What is the mistake? I have never called my function. I have never made a forward declaration. And let's do this kind of stuff also. So, why is that working? I don't know why this one is all time doing this one. All right, so let's go there. What I have to do is, of course, call the function here that it works. And before I can call it, I need also a forward declaration. Why I need here a forward declaration? because I put the functions, the both actually, here on the bottom. And the point is I call my main here on top, which with other words, my compiler will not know that this function here exists. That's why I need a forward declaration for my function. And yeah, let's do this. Which means I just copy this line. I print in top. Here are my forward declarations. I put them here. I just, this one, let's do the other one too, which is this one. Copy. And do here this forward declaration as well. Control V and here. So now I have the forward declarations, and now I can call them here in my main. I need just this one here. Let's call this one here for test purposes. And here I need to pass in the array which I want to use. In my case, I want to use this username arrays. And how we call this? Just write the variable name. I hope you know this. Usernames array. Here, this one. And let's see what the problem here is. Two-dimensional. Yeah. Why I write the dimension? Oh, not this one. Dimensional. Oh no, both. Again, spelling. Yeah, whatever. Let's make this fast here. Dimensional array, dimensional. Go here. There is another mistake as well. We will check this in a moment. After I wrote here something. All right, so let's see what it says. Of course, I can't use here void because this is a call. I make a function call here. Print out two-dimensional array. Why is this so? Yeah, it says it's overloaded. And when I hover my mouse over it, you can see this +1 overload symbol here, which means I have here one more function. Okay, let's print this out and see what the program does. Let's see. Perhaps I had some mistakes, but you see there are my output, and let's check if this output is right. Perhaps I made here absolute crappy output. It's not right. Let's see. I should have, when we go this one here, Coda, Wonder Woman, Maggie, looks good, Superman, Habib, Tommy, and Mia, John, and Smith. That looks okay. It's good. The only problem here is, and you'll see it, it's the format. And format is now the graphical representation. But before we go to the graphical representation, let me show you something here. The second one here. If you go now here to the second one, the nice thing is after you made one, you just can copy this one here and paste it here. And it will work too, because this one is the same setup. The only difference is here, you have here double and here a string. But this one here, the call here, has nothing to do with types. That's why you can just call it. And if this is right, because this one has also free, I just call it and I'm finished with my second one. That's nice, very fast, very simple and nice. So let's go on. Yes, the problem is formatting. And like I said before, formatting is a challenge for its own. Definitely. This one, what I showed you here is actually easier than the format. What I mean with the format is to create this array here, to call this one array here in the main. It's really easier to make this format here. For example, this outprint here, so that the array print out exactly this nice here on the screen. And as a challenge and as a bonus, try to print out the task3 like this one here. So set up format, and I will show you what I set up. I will not program the format now because it takes not a lot of time actually. It's not easy. You should first you should make it first and I show you in the next one. I show you just the result at least, and next time we talk about the format, because I think you should make it. I did it also, but if you can't do it, no problem, but try it, because you learn with the format a lot of things. Let me show you fast what I mean with that, which means I have here some infos here. Yeah, this one. My format looks really, and my solution is not the best one, by the way, so don't copy this one. Don't. It's rather hard to understand. This is a bad solution, but it is a beginning. Let's paste this one here. Let's write this one here. Comment, uncomment, and I probably made here some mistakes. Oh no. I have here another name. Two-dimensional array, okay. Copy this one. Two-dimensional array. No, this one here. I need to use params here. Did I have used the params, by the way? Oh my god, I made even here a mistake. I have not used the parameters. Alright, sorry. Of course you should use here the parameters instead of what I used there. Alright, that is another nice thing. Paste. Alright, but yeah, I forgot here to say that I have to use, of course, this params here instead of the array here on top. Alright, I hope you saw the mistake. If you saw it, very good. If not, no problem. I made the mistake. I am to blame. Alright, happens. Okay, let's go on. The next thing is what I want to show you is this one. I have to copy this one here now. Just to see if you can do this one. Let's see, where are the mistakes? Where is that here? Paste this one, paste this one, and paste this one. Okay, let's say this two-dimensional array, we make it as a bonus. So you can make it or not, depends on how you feel, but try it. I would try it. I will explain mine only shortly next time. I have not finished it as well. And why I have here an arrow here? Don't know. Array for loop is not even finished. Oh, why what I did there? Probably I missed. Yes, I missed one. This one here. All right, now. All right, a little bit changes, and let me show you what I mean with that. Let's see. Coder A, and you see my format here. This is one side. I have only made this little format, so we have here a little bit of a form, but of course you can go on, and I skipped this. I said that's enough for me, and then if I would now go for the other things and align it, yeah, that's nice. And as a bonus, you should try this too. If you can make it this way here, the real format here, it's cool. Then you trained a lot. If not, try at least that what I made here. It's not too much because it's still simple, but you will learn here a lot. And this comma I could skip normally, but then I have to make the intention right. So I keep this one. And yeah, try this as a bonus. So let's say I will explain my code in the next video here shortly, but you can already see I used here many things, and there are many nice tricks and thinking for coding, many nice things. So I definitely say you should try this at least. Doesn't matter if you can't do it, or like me say, okay, enough, you tried. Just try it, because there are some very, let's say, programming very, yeah, things which you have to think very nice, and that will train you more to get better in programming, in thinking, and thinking like a programmer, and so on. And with that said, I would stop here. So we covered here task 2 was easy, task 3 actually is harder, and the reason for that is this formatting problem. You will see this one. And if you have a better solution than me, then that's the best case. If you have a other solution, that's also good. If you have no solution but tried, that's also good, because you tried it and you are still training it. And the important part here in this exercise is try, and very important, try with your own ideas, your own thinking. Don't watch other things, or don't watch my things here. It's also not very good. It's bad. It's not really, it's on the fly made. It's more a prototype, but very important. It must, my work, it is bad, yes, but it works. And your code should work too, because it's more a training of all this, yes, functions and how to use the functions and so on. All right, with that said, I stop this video here. In the next video, I will probably talk about this format a little bit, and also about the other array, how to show it, because it's very easy. You just copy this one actually, because like I said, if you have finished the one array, the other is just the same code here, just in where put in. But the important here, yes, you have to think. There are really nice things to think about. A little bit complicated perhaps for starters, but just try it and think. It will train you really, really good. All right, now I talk too much. With that said, I stop here. We will still talk about task 3 next time. And if you have any questions, any complaints, like all time, write it in the comments, or even suggestions or tips, write them also in the comments. And with that said, bye and good luck.